So it's not only Chris Matthews on MSNBC that, in his panic about Bernie Sanders' recent primary and caucus successes, likened Bernie to Nazis. We've actually been covering the disinformation propaganda and the memes that have been spreading, and the American right is in as much of a panic over Bernie Sanders as is establishment corporate media and the Democratic Party establishment. And the right is now starting to spread disinformation, equating Bernie to Hitler. Now, I want to look at one example today, which in 6 different ways suggests that Bernie Sanders is like Adolf Hitler. Now, we have to suspend disbelief for a moment, because when you say, yeah, the Jewish candidate whose family members were killed in the Holocaust by Hitler's Nazis is like Hitler, immediately most people would say that doesn't make any sense, David. Let's ignore that for now and just look at what they assert. Let's look at these one by one. The meme claims that both Hitler and Bernie believe state power will fix their respective countries. It's important to point out that Bernie Sanders has no interest in increasing state power. And in fact, Bernie has been critical of how Donald Trump has exposed that the executive branch probably has too much power, because Trump has been able to completely flout and ignore laws and norms and do whatever the hell he wants. So it is simply not true that Bernie is looking to increase state power for these hegemonic authoritarian reasons that Hitler wanted to do that. What Bernie believes is that government involvement in a sensible and controlled way will make some of our systems better function. There are systems that aren't working well, that have turned over too much power to the rich and to corporations at the expense of the average American. Bernie believes government involvement in those systems will be better for the average person. Secondly, they argue Bernie and Hitler are the same because they both proposed gun control. Now, this relates to a meme that has spread that the Jews were disarmed by Nazis. And if the Jews had not been disarmed by Nazis and had rifles and handguns, they could have successfully resisted World War II, period. That has been widely debunked. It's an entire, we could do an hour just on that, but it is both factually wrong and it's wrong in its conclusions. Bernie wants sensible gun control that most Americans agree with. Gun control was already strict in Germany before Hitler came to power. Historians agree that guns would not have allowed the Jews, who made up just 1% of the German population at the time, to resist the Third Reich. And the idea that 1% of the population with pistols and handguns was going to take out a very well-armed police state that ultimately became and worked with and melded into the Third Reich is silly at its face and has been widely debunked. The third bullet point is both Hitler and Bernie promised political revolution. Now, in a sense, so did Donald Trump, a revolution where the swamp would be drained, political insiders would no longer have power. He failed to do it, but this idea of revolution is so vague that it becomes meaningless. Hitler's revolution was one of a hegemonic Germany invading other countries and killing Jews. Likening it to Bernie Sanders wanting the U.S. to be more like the social democracy of Denmark, where people get health care and public college paid for through taxes, is laughable. It is a semantic game that they are playing. Number 4, they bring out the term socialist. The right-wing disinformation meme says, hey, Hitler called himself a socialist and Bernie calls himself a socialist. Now, of course, National Socialist, abbreviated as Nazi, has nothing to do whatsoever with democratic socialism, or in reality, what's social democracy. That's what Bernie Sanders is proposing. This is a semantic confusion that's being used to trick low information people who don't really know much by throwing the word socialism in without any context. Number 5, Hitler blamed Jews for Germany's problems, while Bernie blames the rich for America's problems. This is a really important one. Bernie is not so much blaming the rich for problems. Now, even if Bernie was blaming the rich is very different than blaming the Jews. But put that aside for a second. Bernie doesn't blame the rich. Bernie points to the super rich as evidence that the system is not working and needs to be reformed. When Bernie says, look at the super rich and corporations who often pay little or less in taxes compared to people who are just middle class, That's evidence that the system isn't working. The rich are a side effect. The rich aren't the problem as individuals. A very, very deceptive component. And then lastly, both Hitler and Bernie wanted heavily regulated economies. And again, this is just a semantic game. A regulated economy could mean anything from a communist, centrally planned economy to social democracy or even a totalitarian police state. Hitler wanted to get involved in the minutia of people's everyday lives in the authoritarian sense, determine who gets to live, who gets to procreate. Bernie wants to regulate the economy to prevent bad actors in industry and bad actors who limit the average person's ability to just live a happy life and pursue happiness. So this is one of those examples where you see the full list with the deceptive language and you start to think, man, maybe Bernie is like Hitler in some ways. The merest superficial analysis confirms that this is merely disinformation and something that we need to protect ourselves against, given the nature of the nature and the scope of the disinformation that is floating around already in the Democratic primary. Very, very ugly stuff, but we will do our best to debunk it. If you watch the David Pakman Show, you should check out a YouTube channel we're partnering with called Upflip. Click the link right underneath this video. It'll take you to their channel. While you're there, make sure to subscribe and click that bell for notifications. Upflip is a channel perfect for anyone like me who's fascinated with small businesses and entrepreneurs and what makes them tick. And every Wednesday, Upflip uploads a new video where they interview an entrepreneur. They give you an inside look at how the business works, what makes the business successful, what a day in their shoes is really like. If you enjoy shows like Shark Tank, I think you'll really like this channel. And again, the channel is called Upflip. They're friends of the David Pakman Show. I'd love it if people in my audience subscribe to their channel, click the bell so that you get updates about their videos. And I've put a link right below that will take you directly to their YouTube channel. Check it out.